Yeah, I guess, the Apostle Paul said that Satan has blinded the eyes of these people. And people are no longer are able to discern the difference between what is morally acceptable and what is not morally acceptable. And it's nothing new. It's ancient. It goes way back to just after Adam and Eve were created, in fact. When they started going astray, the children of our original parents went astray, and they started doing their own thing, listening to the lies of the devil. And he's been able to pull the wool over their eyes, being able to deceive mankind into thinking that certain behaviors and certain way of thinking and is acceptable and pleasing to God, but it isn't. God isn't pleased with certain things. And, there are things that are considered abominable, things that are considered very sinful and very not good. I won't mention what those are because I believe that most people know already. So they've heard the truth, most people. Perhaps they need to be reminded. I'm sure someone, it will be brought to their attention at some point in time as a reminder. But yeah, there are things that God has made it very plain and obvious what those things are. What is proper and improper, what is acceptable and not acceptable. God has made it very clear in nature. Because we are created. There is a creator. It's apparent in our human biology, in our physiology. The proof is shown in God's creation, in the world that we live in, all around us. That certain things, even by nature, are not acceptable. Just even if you look at it from a natural perspective, not even applying any religious principles at all. There are certain things that make sense, and there's things that don't make sense. Just looking at observing things on a scientific level. And you just have to look at it like an automobile manufacturer. The car is designed to operate a certain way. You have to use a key to start the ignition. You have to release the brake, the parking brake. You have to put oil in it. You have to maintain it. There's specifications that are given by the manufacturer how to operate appropriately and according to the designer's specs and their instructions. If you don't, there's potential negative repercussions. It's just like, even an airplane pilot, he has to go through a checklist before he even operates the aircraft. And he has to do that every single time he boards it and enters that cockpit. Even before he climbs on board, he has to observe his aircraft from without when he's outside and around the aircraft. And same with truck drivers, semi-truck drivers, the 18-wheelers. They have to inspect that vehicle. They have to inspect the trailer, the hookups, the engine, all that, to make sure it's working optimally. And that's a rule. That's a law. That's a commandment. Well, you know what? God, our manufacturer that made these machines, our bodies. There are instructions. He gave us a manual. He gave us protocols. He gave us steps and procedures, and He gave us orders on how to operate our machine, our bodies. And our bodies are supposed to operate a certain way. And there's certain things that we're not to do. And there's certain things that we are to do. That's all in His instruction manual, God's instruction manual. You know, those 66 books that were written by very holy and people that were intimate with God. God spoke through them, influenced them by His Spirit to write down for us some of those things that God approves of and disapproves of. It gives us a great benefit when we take heed, taking heed to these things. In other words, taking it seriously, giving our attention to it, our devotion, our considerations to it, and then putting it into practice. What is applicable, what is not applicable, making that discernment. Because there are certain things that still have practicality, and there's things that don't. So we have to, this is where the Spirit comes in, and study, and careful study, and meditating on His Word and His truth. It could take some time, but we have to condition ourselves to improve our lives, that to be acceptable before God. And it does take some effort. It does take some discipline. So God wants us to know about who He is and what He wants.